Welcome back to Out of Orting, episode 7. I am your host, executive producer, Hunter Snyder. With me, as always, is my co-host, the sassy Marissa Allen, and with us
Is that
tonight,
the name we're going with? Is that the new name? You've been working on it.
Out
of Orting?
Out of Orting, yeah. This is Out of Orting. I thought you meant sassy Marissa, and I was like, I keep forgetting to label my co-host, Marissa. Okay, but
so does Jaden. Jaden always introduces Heather, and then he gets to me, and he's like, who
Marissa,
are
this is
you?
kind of just the person that, Let me introduce Sean.
Fine.
All right, the merge boot of Survivor Washington Orting, the man that unfortunately was left with no other fighting options. And the first ever in Survivor history unanimous merge tribal council, Sean Swaney. Sean,
hey,
how are you doing?
I'm good. It was a bad day to have a penis. Let me tell you that.
Here's my question, Sean, with the penis. Why are you wearing so many layers?
I don't know. I was cold earlier, so I put a jacket on. It's a lightweight jacket. I'll take it off.
Yeah.
I've been actively told to strip down.
Marissa's.
I speak for the people.
Somebody did speak and say that you should stick to Sean tradition of that, which really was only an episode's worth of shirtless Sean.
Yeah, which produced the greatest screenshot of me and Connor snuggling in the tent. Which, let's be honest, the scene of the season. So
that's a very legendary. The art or the artistic. I wish I could share a copy of that. I might be able to screen share that artistic, that Renaissance type photo of you and Connor.
I have not seen this.
Have you not? I'll share it with you.
No. Yes, please. New screensaver for my phone.
Oh yeah. As if I didn't have enough Kodak moments this season.
So we have quite a bit to get talk to. So our first merge boot, that's a lot of pre-merge stuff to cover, a lot of pre-game stuff to cover. Sean,
yes.
Before you were introduced into the world of Survivor Washington, I believe you were our first half recruit because you didn't apply, correct?
I did not get any of that because your audio jumped. I heard recruit.
So you
Fucking recruits.
You were technically a recruit for this season.
We'll call it that. Hunter DMs me, says, "Hey, do you want to play?" I said, "Let me see if I can get time off work, maybe." And then I think I was an alternate, and then that alternate dropped out, and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, the person you were that inspired me to message you was Nico telling me that he might not be able to do it. And then somebody other than Nico dropped out. And I was like, well, I got an alternate in Sean, so we'll be fine here. So the idea, I know that we're friends before this point, but just your concept of live reality games and playing Survivor. Have you applied for the show before?
I have, unsuccessfully, obviously. It's been shitty. But beyond that, that's been that and Orting were my really only forays into that thing. Like, I see people playing like Instagram games and Facebook games, and I don't get any of that. If you watch my social media, I'm not a sharer. So
it's cute. It's cute. You're like a dad.
I know.
You're such a dad.
I just tweet about sports and sports.
Now, is Survivor the only one that you've applied to, or have you dabbled a little?
Yeah, no, I've only applied for Survivor because that's what I grew up watching. And that's the emotional attachment. But I think at the same time, if someone said do you want to go on Big Brother, or do you want to go on, heaven forbid, The Amazing Race, or something else in that vein?
What else am I doing? Sign me up.
Yeah, and I think for me, and I think this is part of how I played the game. Rubber meets the road, and it's this competitive streak in me. And for as much as I want to try and hide it, or I can't. It's very and this is a cliched term, but it's very Tom Westman. I can try and hide it, but when rubber meets the road, I'm going to be 100% Sean 100% of the time. So yeah, I would do whatever, but Survivor's the dream.
Which you did want to downplay that. I remember talking to you in preseason, the idea of you being competitive and looking like a threat to other contestants, which of course you ended up being one of the most threatening contestants.
Yeah.
So
I think part of that was due to the cast breakdown too. I think
yes, a lot of that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to agree with you. That is a very, and again, still, I think regardless, you would have still been competitive, obviously, and like in that sense. But I think because Wes, Corey, and I guess to an extent Nico were the only men that really kind of put themselves out there in terms of, and you weren't really aggressive. I'd say
I think Satu comes off just based on how he is. Like he comes off as a natural person, whereas like someone like Brett, someone like myself, they're tall, they're lanky.
Yeah.
Like you don't know which way they could go. And
Satu is just one of the most bizarre characters I've ever come across in my entire life. And I love every minute of it, but I could not categorize him. I could not explain him to others. Like it's Satu.
Yeah. He's a unique.
I don't know what you do with that. I don't know what you do with it out there. Yes, but I would not know what to do with him in the field.
I don't think he knew what to do, so he just slept.
So Sean, so months pass. Does anything happen between the time you get cast for this game and between actually doing it?
No.
Is there any thought?
I tried to prepare by watching the season before.
Oh God!
I went with a Celeste boot, and then I forgot to watch the rest of the episodes. Oh. So funny, whenever you watch my Meet the Cast interview, you'll hear me say, and I quote, like, I just want to make the merge. Because I assumed that everyone that made the merge made the jury. Like, I didn't care about making the merge. I wanted to make the jury so I could be there the whole
You got
time.
Krend.
Yeah.
He got Gretchened.
Yeah. Well,
the traditional.
But yeah, I assumed that everyone that made the merge made the jury. So that shows you, like, my experience with live games.
Yeah, what's the reasoning for that, Hunter? I was curious why you decided
every single 16-person season they've ever done, with the exception of China, the merge boot has not been a part of the jury.
Well, fuck China. First off,
why? China's merge boot is on the jury.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to use it as precedent 'cause it's a garbage season.
Okay, so you agree with me then by that?
No, but I'm just saying. Yeah. I feel like if you make the merge, you should make the jury, because it's like it's a weird place to be in, where it's like you merge with these people, but then you like go on the pre-merge trip.
But the issue is that I am so passionate about Final Two. I think that every single season of Survivor should be the Final Two, because you can make a majority in the Final Three. You can't have 8 jurors with a Final 2 because there's no way to break a tie. We're not doing America's vote for Survivor watching.
So we're getting a Final 2 is what you're saying.
Yeah. Or do a Final 2, everyone from the merge makes the jury, but you actually enact the jury vote off twist. That could be something you foray into.
Yeah.
I don't like that one either.
Gottlieb.
Maybe we could merge at 9.
Look, I want Sean on the jury, and you fucked us.
Well, Sean is still in background scenes.
Taping the seat. Which apparently I taught Scout how to do cameras, apparently.
I think at this point we could say that Brett accidentally spoiled Sean's boot in our interview, and Brett and I had to like make up some bullshit story about Sean helping Scout. Sean helping Scout while he was doing
Did I miss something? I feel like I missed something.
In Brett's exit interview, Brett said, I said we're gonna get production together to do a podcast, and I said Brett will be included, and Brett went and Sean, and then we both kind of stuttered for a second, and then he's like, Sean helped Scout on production, do the camera, and yeah, which is why, and then I made that excuse of, for whatever reason, Scout bumped up the saturation on one of the cameras, and no matter how much I tried to desaturate it in editing, it just didn't look right.
Is everyone got like blackface? Like
no, it's when so there's some scenes that are really, really saturated in the last episode.
Good work, Sean.
Yeah.
I texted Brett about that. I was like, did I do that? I legitimately, like, I might have, and I just not remembered. But
yeah. So okay, so you arrive on location. I always like to hear the locational thoughts, because it seems everybody has wildly different perspectives on everybody as they get there. What did you think of the group that had gathered there before you even got your buffs? Yeah,
so I think it's important for me to at least talk about like when I got into Orting, because I think for many people, they're Washington locals or they're West Coast based. For me, I live on the opposite end of the coast. I live in the
Did you take the bus from Chinatown to Chinatown to Chinatown?
I did not. I took
You didn't core it.
This magical.
You don't that bus lag
that just cuts down hours upon hours.
What kind of witchcraft is that?
Tell me about it.
How many days did it take?
Oh, like 0.25.
What?
Mind blowing, let me tell you.
Some Harry Potter shit.
Exactly. But yeah, so I flew in and I worked a full, for me, 14-hour day with work. I work remotely at home. And then
You're an animal.
Yeah, it happens. And then I got into a car, got into a flight, and I got into Seattle around 9 p.m. Pacific time. So that was my midnight. So I'd already had a full day. And on that flight, I did get a migraine. I get weird migraines with like air compression, which Marissa, you're a pilot, so you probably might know this, but
yeah, it sucks.
Pressurize the cabin. And the same thing, like if a storm comes in, like my head just goes foggy. And that's the reason why I threw up day one, is because my head was just in this perpetual fog. I hadn't eaten because I didn't feel well. I didn't really sleep because of that. So I walked into the game with maybe like 45 minutes of sleep.
Yeah, your shit's a mess.
Yeah. So, and I had it the whole time of the game and just tried to play it off. But yeah, so we all got to.
Should have taken that bus.
Right. Yeah. Corey could have saved me a spot.
Former pregame with Corey.
Yeah. But yeah, so we got to we'll call it the staging area. Signed our waivers, talked to Grandpa Nettles, got the.
I would like to see these waivers.
Yeah. Personal injury waivers. Nah, it was nothing bad. I can't
like Hunter put some weird Igor shit in there, and you've like signed away like your first.
No, no, that's a very that is one thing that I won't joke or fuck around with, is the waiver thing. Like I was so nervous because it's having adults in. This is not like just high school students. Like freaking Corey, for all I know, could have come out there and just been like, every LRG he's played, he's been trying to get money out of, and he would come out there and break his own leg to get insurance money.
Yeah, but I could see there being like a third and fourth page also attached with some weird shit you signed on to.
Yeah. I don't want to scare I don't want to scare poor Erica. Erica already was like, I think kind of when she got there, like not confused, but I was like, I didn't want Erica to drop out of fear.
Right. Is Erica your aunt or was Shrey your aunt?
Shrey was my aunt.
This whole time I've thought Erica was your aunt. Who is Erica?
The greatest person of all time.
Yes, but where did you find her?
I think my mom's friend's friend. So she was a recruit.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but well, anyways, so
getting back.
Sorry, ADD strong.
The stinging. I want to. Oh God, we got to save that stinging nettles for one of the exit interview. The story on the moment with that everybody knew the. Oh God. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll get to that one of these exit interviews. The stinging nettles. Stinging nettles. Mercer reminded me to talk about the stinging nettles in the future.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You'll be fine. Don't worry. But yeah, so we show up to the staging area, and since I was on East Coast time still, I had I think one of the very early meet the cast interviews that morning at Hunter's house. And so I showed up to the staging area fairly early, and you got to see people trickle in. And obviously it's like walking into a high school cast.
Were you the first person there?
I was one of the first few. Yeah, there was a group of us.
I actually don't know who the first person was.
It was myself, Connor, Kitty,
and
Stefan, because we all had because we all got tied to a car because there was a massive hornet nest outside of your house that stung us all. So that was good.
Oh, yeah, that's the mix, because that can't cause like a reaction or anything. That's probably why you were puking.
God, you're already like pre-medevac getting ready.
Yeah, I'm allergic to bees, but we just kind of hushed that one off.
Yeah, I can't imagine why you were puking. Did you at least give him a Benadryl? Jesus.
Exactly. No, I'm not a complainer. So
yeah, that was a whole. I knew about the bee thing vaguely, like I was heard, but I mean at that point my alternate also wasn't showing up, and I was just like, everybody is just, you guys got to fend for yourselves.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't have stepped away.
Killer bees, that's your problem. I got shit to do.
Okay, so you got down. So people are coming in. Is it like, as you see more people, you're thinking, oh, the competition's going to be going this way or this way or this way, or was it kind of all over the place?
Yeah, so I viewed that initial staging area as the start of the game. Really, I wanted to see how people were socializing, who was fidgeting, who was trying to socialize, even though we weren't really supposed to. try to get an understanding of people's personalities. And so I think the interesting thing too is that Jack, who's also like a cameraman, was also there. And so I felt like right off the bat, like I thought I could get Jack to work with me because Jack was this young, impressionable, like constantly moving around person. And I was like, yes, like I want to be the calm to Jack's like a little bit erratic. And so I had.
Whoa! Who is Jack? Please learn this character.
Okay. Jack is.
Can't stop heavily breathing behind him.
Yeah, that's Jack.
Yes, that's Jack.
Get that kid an inhaler.
Forever, he will forever be cemented in Survivor Washington legacy. But hey, Jack is awesome because he's an alternate film as a cameraman.
Jack is fantastic, and I think him and AJ and Scout and Ori all need endless praise for taking this season.
That child labor.
About creating a statue back there with them, those four on like horses.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've used that initial staging area as like sizing people up, and so I knew right off the bat like who I thought I could potentially work with, who I thought I would be a little bit harder for me to get along with, and I kind of got an impression of what the cast overall was like. And I think, my gut reaction right off the bat was one, Emma couldn't shut up. And I think that was no secret.
Fair.
But two,
real fair.
Also that I was going to be right in the middle of the kind of the breakdown between strength and weakness in the males. And so I think right off the bat, that's where I was super cognizant of how I was going to play the game because I knew I wanted to be strategic. I assumed that from these games that everyone was just constantly playing all the time. And there was so much moving and shaking. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to be physical, but I didn't want to be the guy. And so I saw Corey, I saw Satu, I saw Wes, who looked athletic. And so there were those.
Excuse me? What about Wes's physique is athletic to you?
But when
Wes a burly man,
someone like Nico, I'm like, okay, I could much rather like go one-on-one against, and literally the sumo match is what I used to compare in my head. I was like, could I beat Connor in a sumo match? I think so. Could I beat Brett in a sumo match? I think so. Could I beat Corey? Could I beat Satu? Maybe. I grew up with brothers. I know how to fight, but like it would be a lot easier.
Who did you end up? You end up going against Stefan?
Juked him the hell out. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I still think
is crazy because he outran a Division I athlete. So you think he's a little more athletic.
Yeah, but he gets that look in his eyes, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, well, like I knew I was lanky, so I'm not gonna get too far into it. But like
he's looking at you like a tasty clarinet, man.
Yeah, like even if he ran me over, like. A pedestrian in a crosswalk, like I could have kept my feet in the middle, fallen over like a ton of bricks and shimmied back in. So I knew I had a couple of wiggle room there. But yeah, so the initial tribe breakdown happens. Hunter splits us up and then gives this funny line of, hold on, let me see if I need to readjust the cast for like archetypes. And he just kind of sits there and I'm like, you better not change it because then we're all going to know each other's archetypes. But the tribes stay put. So that wasn't really a thing. But at that point, I kind of looked around at the guys and I was like, well, crap, like I have to be athletic here because Connor, we've all seen Connor in a couple of physical challenges and it's not his forte. Brett is also like of my body type, like strong, tall, lanky, but not like this bumbling, football linebacker.
I mean, can you take your pants off so we can compare legs?
I have tree trunks for legs. I used to be a soccer player.
Do you? I don't know.
Surprise.
I mean, for science.
The Out of Orting after show. Sean gets naked.
This is a family. This is a family appropriate show.
That's why I showed up. No.
Yeah.
Well, it's family appropriate. Why the fuck did you ask me to be here?
Yeah, that's a good point. I can't refute it there. I don't know why it immediately got dark in this room in the last like 5 minutes. Hop on
it's very Blair Witch.
Yeah. But I'm gonna keep talking. But yeah, so we split the tribes up, and right from then I saw Satu and I saw Corey on that other tribe, and I knew that I would have to be far more physical than I originally had planned to be. And so I think that's partially one of the nails in my coffin is that I decided not to like take a step back, and I said, okay, we're gonna go 100%. We're gonna go full the whole time.
Which ended up working.
Yeah,
with Carbonado
for a while. But do you think had you not, and maybe you lost one here or there, you would have still survived that? And do you think? Hindsight, it was your best route.
But I think had the original Carbonado gone to one more tribal, it would have been very interesting because there were a lot of loose bonds and loose ties, and no one really know who was actually loyal to whom. when it came down to voting. And so I think had we lost one more challenge, it would have been really interesting to see where loyalties were when the rubber hit the road. But was I happy to not be at tribal council? Yes, especially when I saw how like devastated the other tribe was. I kind of thought it was kind of funny. I was like, we're here for a weekend. Like, let's celebrate a little bit. So yeah, I was fine not going to tribal council, but I can see when people understand the value of going to a tribal council to solidify trust and loyalty within a specific group.
And so you talked a lot the day before about, or the first day, excuse me, about, you know, there's this pull between, or am I going to get rid of Wes? Am I going to get rid of Connor? And you were so very, at one point you're like, I don't want to ride with this Erica, Sarah, and Wes group. But do you think at that point, I know that Sarah mentioned in episode 4 that it would have been worth it to just go to tribal council. Do you think that at that point you would have gone, or you would have elected to throw a challenge, say if Sarah asked you to throw it? And where do you think you would have swung your vote?
I would have, I hate the idea of throwing a challenge, but I would have been fine with it because I wasn't the one birthing that idea and bringing that out. I would have agreed to it, but I did not want to be the one saying, let's throw a challenge. I think had we won that challenge, we'll call it, if we pick a challenge, it's the sumo one we lose or the stone flipping one we lose. Either way, honestly, I think it would have come down to what kind of damage control I would have done with Emma at that point. Because one thing that you saw play out over kind of the course of a couple episodes is me feeding Emma information about Wes's boot order, which named Emma in it, which named Sarah in it, which was the farthest thing from the truth.
It was the most confusing information intel I've ever heard shared. I literally had to watch it 4 times and write it down so we could do the recap episode. Exactly. It was elaborate.
Yeah, but
a lot of it was not on film, which was the issue. Is I did not find the footage for it, nonetheless.
Yeah, which is fine.
It's a trend. Like it's a trend for people to make up plans that have formed in Wes's head. People made more plans in Wes's behalf than Wes did himself probably that first day.
Yeah. And I will go on record saying that Wes was an unexpected perfect ally to me. And I did him dirty, and it was the downfall of my game. And I should not have done it. And so I will eat crow for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days of the week, saying that was a bad move for me. But yes, I think at that time, I was very much in the middle, not anticipating having, I didn't really want to be in the middle, but I ended up being in the middle. I don't think I would have gotten votes regardless. I don't think my name was really ever thrown around, even having lost that first puzzle. But I think, honestly, I would have gone to Emma and said, Emma, okay, here we go. I know you're trying to figure out which way to go. You have loyalties to some people on both sides, as do I. Which way do you want to go? I will vote with you. I don't care, just as long as I'm not in the minority. Is probably what I would have done, because I knew that I would have Connor and Brett on one end, and I would have Wes and Sarah on the other end, and then the rest of us kind of in the middle, being Erica, Emma, myself, could swing it to either.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. I thought that that it was definitely going to come down to you three playing it out there, because Emma and Eric, I mean, despite people saying like that it was you, Sarah, Wes, Erica against Brett and Connor, it was not really. Emma and Erica could have easily swung either way.
100%. And I think that's one of the things that, if you want to talk about the initial breakdown and kind of the initial dynamics of Carbonado, and I think up to this point where we, will be we're at the jury now, I think the games that everyone envisioned playing and the games that they are playing are very different. Wes didn't want to come in and be this hyper paranoid looking for an idol all the time person, but that's how he played off.
That's just who Wes is as a person.
I love Wes. But yes, he does sometimes do that.
For the record, I do too, but it makes it easier to give him shit.
Yes, but I think at the same time, you look at the opening confessional for Sarah, who says, I want to play this, as long as it's anybody but me game. And I think that's the game that Erica has played up to this point. And I think Erica is playing it far better than Sarah at this point. And, I don't know if she hasn't gotten confessionals for whatever reason, but Erica was a very sturdy presence on our tribe when it came to loyalty, when it came to discussions. And I think that was one of the reasons why I really loved the original Carbonado tribe, was because there wasn't that everyone was scrambling off in the woods. We were at our camp. Our camp was a hot box, but like we were at our camp talking about life. We all shared stories. And I think Erica was one of the main reasons we did that, because she so strongly influences the dynamic of a group, but doesn't
the mom
in an overt way. Exactly. And so that's, I was close with Erica.
She's a cool mom.
And as was Emma. Exactly. And so I think that's, well, the initial breakdown of Carbonado was really, really interesting. And that first day was, could have gone a lot of different ways. We talk about if Molly hadn't seen the price tag on the bottom of the Home Depot thing and blown that up, like, I think Sarah would have gone that first day and Molly wouldn't have gone. I think Molly, Sarah, Erica would have gone together, and it would have been a very interesting dynamic.
Damn it, Hunter! You got to take the tags off of things. Damn it.
But I don't know where we're at anymore, but that's what I said.
Sorry.
So so that covered a lot. Just the first day as a whole, you're looking back on the decisions you made, what's going on the next day. What are you thinking prior to the swap? What's going on in that time period where cameras aren't off? What did we miss?
Yeah, where cameras aren't off. I think for me, and I think the way I played day one was I just kind of want to get through it. I didn't want to be the first person voted out, and then we kept winning, so that was great. But I think part of it for me was I wanted to play up to the level that everyone else was playing. And I think had I been on Wilkeson, I would have played a drastically different game, because Wilkeson, you saw, was scrambling at every different location that had a camera, and they were all strategizing all the time, and everyone had loyalties to each other. But Carbonado was very different. We kind of talked and we kind of had side conversations, but there wasn't this like impending scheming waiting around every corner. And so I think for me, the way I would summarize my first day's game was that I was incredibly cognizant of the relationships I was building, but at the same time, I assumed that those relationships would then translate into alliances. And I don't think I ever dropped the A-bomb. Like, I don't think I ever really said alliance to someone one-on-one or in a small group, and I said, this is our alliance. I want to go with you to this point. And I think where a lot of people were doing that was something that I didn't do, because I don't have this frame of reference for these games and doing it live and all of that. But I think at the same time, what got me firmly in the middle was my connection with everyone. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. But yeah, day one was was basically the whole game I had. But yeah, it was a very interesting time to see me develop as a player based on the situation.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment in terms of the player development, because it's crazy. What you were talking about before with being on Wilkeson, or had you been on Wilkeson, you would have played a lot differently. How do you think other players on Wilkeson that you did end up playing with, so Lindsay, Kitty, Kaya, Stefan, how do you think they would have fared on Carbonado early on at the beginning of the game?
I think that's incredibly speculative, and it depends on which person. I think I love her to bits, but I think Lindsay is oftentimes a breeding ground, and I think Lindsay's voice is the loudest one in the group a lot of times. And so if Lindsay had been on Carbonado instead of Sarah or instead of Erica, maybe not Emma, because Emma was also loud.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Different kind of loud.
Exactly. But I think Lindsay was the one driving things. And obviously I'm in the driver's seat. I was not at that tribe. I'm watching it just like everyone else is watching it. Tune in on Sundays to watch it. But yeah, like, I think Lindsay is the one that is not only being loud, but she's also voicing her opinion. And I don't think anyone was really doing that overtly at Carbonado. And so I think someone like Lindsay, had she been on Carbonado originally, it would have been a whole different dynamic, because you had to pick a side. You had to know where the line was, and you had to know what side you were on. Whereas I think if you had brought someone like Sheree over in place of Emma, then I think the tribe would have been a lot more laissez-faire, because Emma was loud, wanting to do things, and Sheree obviously was a lot more of a low-key player. And so I think a lot of that is speculative in that regard. I think had either myself or Brett be swapped out for one of Satu or Corey, and then in my mind, the physicality of the guys were fairly even. And so I think that would have been really interesting to see, when we rank people for strength of gender in the sumo tribe, like how that shakes down. Like I wouldn't have seen myself as the number 2 person or whatever. Like I would have been further down because there was the stronger guy.
Yeah.
That kind of fit that archetype a little bit better than the tall, lanky nerd who all of a sudden grew into his body and became a college athlete.
Hey.
So was there anybody that you didn't end up playing with, whether from the first day, actually only people from the first day, Sheree, Corey, Nico, that you would have wanted to play with? Do you think you could have worked well with? It is kind of hard to know.
I think it's so hard to know. I remember Nico's costume being outlandish, and I thought he was like, well, either he's very like full of himself, or either he thinks this is a joke, and so I don't want to like be near him. But I think that first impressions are always moot, and it's what happens when someone actually you interact with them. I think.
How would have felt about all the pee breaks?
Just
be concerning to you.
I think had he been going to pee, I don't know, I was there. Like I didn't ever use the porta potty. I just walked over to the bushes like 10 steps away, like any guy does.
And if he followed you every time you did those,
any civilized man, non beastly human.
Yeah, I didn't use porta potty. I just used the hoon hose. But yeah,
that was Nico's downfall.
Exactly.
Would you been on board with that?
Person that I wish I would have played with, and I think I would have done very well with, was Kitty. I think Kitty in many ways is I think we both played a very similar game. We wanted to be solid. We wanted to be within the conversations. We didn't want to be very upfront about it. We were physical. And I think at the same time, everyone kind of viewed Kitty as this like calming presence in the midst of crazy. And I think that was the game, at least in my mind, that I was portraying. Obviously, whether it comes off like that on the show or whether it comes off like that in person is a very different story. But I think had I been on a tribe from the jump with Kitty, I think I would have bonded very closely with her and have had some sort of working relationship with her.
And you ended up in the merge talking to her right after the challenge, right before tribal as well.
Yeah. Which the only reason I did, which obviously isn't shown in a 25-minute episode, is because the night of the swap, Stefan came back and basically spilled his guts about the Wilkeson tribe, the dynamics, who was doing what, and basically gave us a rundown to that tribe. And so I took that as I want to save myself, let me take your word to the bank, like information session. And the only place that he was incorrect, which I think was partially to the downfall of his own game, is that he was incorrect in assuming that at that point in time, he and Kitty were running Wilkeson, which I think at that time, obviously, it will show that it was Lindsay and factions of Lindsay's alliance. And so in my mind, when I wanted to quickly try to change things up, I saw, right at the merge, I saw Sarah and Lindsay and Kaya all grouped up together, like giggling and like looking my way, and they couldn't stop glancing at me. So I was like, okay, well, great. The girls are going after someone, and it looks like it's me based on their like inability to hide it. And so I saw Kitty as the person who,
or they just thought you were like super cute, and
can you blame them? But no. But I saw Kitty as the person who could have been enough of a decision maker to rally enough votes around me. I was very surprised at how little time we had in that merge, albeit people weren't talking, and no one really initiated conversation, because I think a lot of that was done during a time we weren't supposed to be strategizing at the merge feast, where people went off to the bathrooms. But
damn bathrooms again, Jesus.
I know. But yeah,
I saw problem. They're so close to camp.
And you know what really makes me mad is this was the episode. It frustrated me so much. I am so mad at the cast for doing this, because it literally does not make sense. The girls, when they planned your outing, guess where they had the camera person film them?
I wasn't there. I don't know.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Well, I'm saying
were they in the porta potty?
In the crew vehicle, in the car. They were sitting in a car.
What?
I swear to God, they sat in the car and they're like, well, we're going to get Sean out because he's physical.
And you missed this, Sean?
They
were gone. This was off. This was off site. They were not supposed to be there.
Yeah, you blink.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, where did they go?
Area that were all girls, and that's where I originally was like, okay, well, if there wasn't a girls thing before, there's definitely a girls thing now because they're off on their own. But yeah, so at that time I thought I was pretty much screwed.
Jesus,
but I thought
wrangle your fucking people. Christ.
What? How can I possibly, if they're all the way over there?
You got unlocked vehicles?
Well, yeah, it's a crew. It's the cruise. That's the cruise station. The crew camp is the car.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of out of bounds area. But yeah, at the same time, and my game post merge was absolutely trash. And I think, again, I didn't know how to handle the situation because I have never been on them. I'm not Corey, who's done this 2,000 times before. I'm not someone who plays in these games and understands like the dynamics of a merge. Like you watch it on TV and you assume you know how you're going to be, but you don't know. And so I think a lot of that, like people weren't talking because maybe my boot was already planned. And so I didn't want to talk to someone. I didn't want to, in addition to seeing myself as someone who is physical, I didn't want to all of a sudden start pulling 4 people aside and say, hey, can we talk over here and exclude you, like group? I thought that would have been the death nail in my game. Mind you, that could have saved my game. It would have potentially done absolutely nothing. But yeah, I think my game post merge was crap. I think my game truly died when the West vote happened, which was a very interesting vote, and we can talk about that for hours. Yes, I think whenever West left, my game was done.
And also specifically with the West vote, was there anything in particular? I know that there are quite. I mean, there's some haters on that decision.
Yeah, where you at, Survivor Dylan?
Wait, Survivor Dylan has not shown up in the chat yet. Little disappointed.
I did some promotion for it, so Survivor Dylan, come at me, bro. You can at me. My Twitter handle is Sean Swaney. If you don't know how to spell it, don't worry. Half the cast doesn't either. So yeah.
Hold on, dude.
I know. We'll go for it, which I love. But yes, what was I saying? Crap.
So what was the positives with the West vote in your mind?
The positives with the West vote is I knew that Wes at that time would have been a vote out before I would have. I think Wes was playing a very upfront game.
Who's your meat shield?
Exactly. But I don't think I ever really viewed Wes as a meat shield. I viewed him as an alliance. I viewed him as an ally I couldn't trust the whole way. And I think part of that plays off in Wes's hesitation about myself and Connor having some pre-existing relationships. And there kind of being this weird dynamic between Wes and I that we know each other to a minor extent. I think Wes recognized me a lot more than I did him. But there was this like weird air around us where we didn't know if we could take each other's word to the bank. And so I think what really stung about it all is that like in fully planning the Wes boot from strategizing it in challenges, you know, while they're doing the shimmy the ball up the wall thing, while I'm having conversations with Stefan and Kaya, letting them know how to vote, and taking care of all of that vote. Come on, time to walk. But while I'm doing that, like in order to make Wes feel safe, because once we knew we had the idol, I had a very fantastic talk with Wes that, you know, was said, okay, we threw our chips onto the table. This is what this is how you're being perceived. This is what I think you have because of pre-existing relationships and being part of a podcast group. This is what I have. This is what I don't have. And it was a very candid conversation at that point. And I was like, man, I wish I hadn't just planned a huge blindside around him, because at that point I saw Wes as a very loyal and a very forthcoming ally to me. And there was a time where I was like, shoot, should I at some point in Tribal flat out say to Wes, play your idol. I will tell you later, play it or you're going home. And then done damage control for there.
Damn, that would have been fucking sick if you did that to get the idol out.
Which was a very, very strong consideration. And you can see me in Tribal. We all knew Wes had the idol. I even pointed to him during that. And there was a time where I was very contemplative over that. And it was the death of my game. But I think had Wes not gone home, then let's say this. Let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit. Wes, if I tell Wes to play his idol, Kaya plays her idol in response. Stefan goes home with 1 vote. I think Connor at that point,
amazing.
Stefan, Kaya, and Stefan. So that's 3. I think Erica, Wes, and I vote for whatever way. And Stefan goes home with 1, and all of a sudden it becomes Erica in the middle with Connor and Kaya. Connor having clearly proven to Wes that he's not loyal, instead of it just being hearsay. Wes and I being bonded through this odd, let me play your idol situation. I think I had a better lock on Erica at that point. Erica and I were much closer than the edit led on. I think you see that in Erica's confessional saying she's glad to have me there. And I think at that point is probably the only time in the game I would have flat out said, let's throw the challenge. We were all searching for an idol that wasn't there. And by throwing the challenge and ensuring that we had lost, we could get Kana or Kaya out at that point.
It's interesting about the Erica thing. Erica, yeah, she was very loyal to you. Erica tried to find the idol at the merge to save you with it.
Oh,
and eventually it didn't make the cut because it's like there wasn't any relevancy there. I mean, after she couldn't find it, she's like, I'm just gonna go with the girls.
Yeah.
So
if you want to know the kind of person that Erica is, Erica intentionally spelled my name wrong on her vote so she wouldn't assume that I voted for her personally. That's the person that she is.
Yeah, fortunate.
Interpersonal player. And I think is not getting the credit she deserves.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, I like just to speak on we could talk hours on Erica. I will say Erica gets some more content coming up. Erica is justified.
Every bit of it.
Yeah, Erica is not getting a 0 edit all season. It's just she hasn't really, with the exception of moments that haven't really portrayed well to the story itself, haven't really come out. It comes up. So
good.
We're getting more Erica. Of course, I mean we got some more Satu this episode. Satu and Erica at this point are the only ones that are kind of consistent UTR.
I think even Sarah to an extent. She gets a couple of confessionals, and I'm sure Sarah was doing a lot more behind the scenes than what I saw, but I saw Sarah as a non-factor in the game, and I think the edit kind of plays that up. So sorry, Sarah, but that was my impression. But you went further than me, so who am I to say?
Okay, so I want to discuss the Kitty situation one more time. So just to justify the move again, to dig into that, you talked to Kitty because you were told that she was running the game.
I talked to Kitty because I saw at that point, we all at the swapped Carbonado tribe had talked about when the merge happens, who do you think you have a bond with and who do you think you can talk to in order to figure out where their vote's going? Can you bring them over to our group of 5 and make a majority there? And Stefan had said the night before and reiterated that he was going to talk with Kitty because they were running of the original Wilkeson tribe. Stefan never had that conversation that I saw. And so in my mind, I was like, well, crap. No one's talking to who I perceive to be the most powerful player on the other end of the game. And so hell if I don't go talk to her myself. Now, mind you, Kitty and I had a fantastic, we'll call it 30-second, minute-long conversation on the balance beam, where at least I knew there was some rapport where if like, whatever. But yeah, I wanted to give her that conversation. And at that point, you know, if we'll call it half an hour. I don't know the exact time. But if we say there was half an hour in challenge being over to us walking to tribal council, I think 80% of that was spent with all of us laying around camp, having personal conversations, and no strategy was happening. That was very overt. And so in my mind, when I had already been getting feelings that I was out, I was like, okay, I got to do something. And that's when I pulled Kitty aside, which probably caused a chain reaction of Stefan and Connor and Kaya going over to the other group and Stefan saying, I don't trust him. I've only known him for half an hour, which I've known Stefan for months. So let's pump the brakes a little bit there. But yeah, so yeah, I think at that move in itself was one of my multiple undoings. But at that point, I saw me trying to plead my case to who I saw to be the most powerful person in the game. And at that point, I saw a Girls Alliance forming. At the same time, I saw a Girls Alliance that was never going to stay together. And so I gave a pitch to Kitty and said, okay, Kitty, who do you think is running things? Here's who I think is running things. And at that point, it was Lindsay. Like, to hell with what Stefan had just said. Like, I could tell Lindsay's running the game from what we're doing sitting here. And so I said to Kitty, okay, I think it should be Lindsay. Like, are you willing to entertain that thought? and I think Kitty entertained that talk to an extent. I think my boot had already been solidified, so there was no real point in truly entertaining it. But yeah, I think there could have been something there, but it was too little too late.
So did you walk into tribal council 100% knowing you were going home?
Oh yeah, and I think you see that confessional from me throughout the episode. It's all the same confessional, but it's me saying, I'm pretty sure it's me tonight. It's me tonight. When you see us close our eyes and raise your hand who you think is going home, it's because I know it's me. Like, I'm pretty sure it's me tonight. It was no secret, which is why I was lighthearted about like the name spelling and all that. Like, it wasn't coming as a surprise to me. It wasn't someone who wasn't expecting their name to come up.
Yeah, but then you had that drop the mic moment.
Yeah. Did you plan that? Did you plan revealing that Kaya had the idol before?
I about shit my pants.
I honestly did not. And I'm honestly surprised I did, because I normally view myself as a very stoic and choose your words wisely type person. And that's definitely not that. And I think the only thing that really sparked it was this weird continuity error where Hunter breaks the torch snuffer.
Yeah, it fell off.
I was a little confused, yeah.
Yeah, and it's this weird thing where it drops on the ground, and I'm like, well, crap, do I have to stay here for a retake? Like, I kind of walk, I was like, and you hear Brett in the background, like, cut, and it's these things like that where it's like, what's happening? And I think at that moment, I stepped into, like, wait, I'm kind of mad. And so in that moment, like, and I would be a liar and I'd be lying to your face if I said that wasn't birthed out of a place of jealousy and out of anger, in wanting to reveal that, but at the same time, I felt that post-merge, I never got to throw a punch. I felt like my game.
So you punched the girl in the face?
No. Well, yes.
Yes.
But I felt like my game before the merge was incredibly effective. I felt like I was on the cusp of every decision that was being made. And all of a sudden, when that power was taken from me, it was really weird to have just gone and not have a say in anything. It was everyone against me. And at that time, I was like, well, man, what can I do to not only feel like I had an effect on the merge, but also take down this girls' alliance, which I feel threw me a massive middle finger. Good on them. Like, but at the same time, what can I do?
But also, fuck them.
Exactly. And it's let the girls'
anytime you have an alliance based upon genitals, it's gonna be shaky at best.
Exactly. And I think at that time it was, what can I do to, one, be angry, but two, what can I do to throw a wrench into an alliance? And I think at that time, even Lindsay didn't know about the idol as far as I knew. So at that time, if anything, my revealing of the idol created paranoia, and we see it. The Girls Alliance falls apart for the Stefan vote. They don't vote together. And so if anything, the Girls Alliance was good enough to get me voted out. And whether I was the dying factor in that, I don't know, but I would like to say that I created enough paranoia to.
It was amazing. And the only disappointment I had was, as you were walking away, there wasn't like the Judd Nelson, like, arm thrust.
Yeah.
Might be too old of a reference for kids, but yeah. I was just waiting for as you walk away, just like the slow freeze frame, Judd Nelson.
Exactly. No, I think a drop the mic moment was probably a little bit better about that time. I said it, I walked off, pretended like nothing had happened, and the game went on for them, and I would go off do my thing. So am I glad I did it? Yes and no. Nope. At the same time, like, I think it was a pretty fun moment and was a nice end chapter to my game.
I'm sure Kaya does not agree with you, but
yeah,
I'm a fan.
And I've talked to Kaya since game. Kaya and I've hung out before after the game, and she's absolutely fantastic, and I have nothing but kind words to say about her outside of the game. But in the game, damn if she wasn't.
She's fucking with all of y'all.
Yeah, and
it's great.
The conversation
I'm here for it.
Where they aligned, I had that exact same opportunity to make that exact same alignment.
To cuddle up.
Yeah.
Get close.
Well, that morning 2 was a very interesting time that never got played on camera. But,
it sounds like there was some sort of Sean sandwich.
No, not even. So morning 2, like I said, I wasn't feeling well. So sleeping for me that entire weekend was basically a non-factor. And so what I did is, if you look at the old Carbonado tribe, there's this weird like tree that comes out of the middle of camp. And there was this like awkward like hangout perch where you go and sit. And Erica was
the Cheshire Cat.
Erica was a king. Yeah.
And so even before the sun came up, I probably spent a good 2 hours on that stump, just running through situations, trying to figure out what was my best move, trying to figure out where everyone in the game, where their best move was, who I thought they were aligned with. It was very. If I'm gonna go nerd here for a second, but it's very Greg Carey and Palau, who I think is a fantastically underrated player, who says at which point I wanted to know exactly what move someone was going to make. I laid up at night trying to think about this is the next move they wanted to make, and I had to stop it if it was me, which is why Tom votes him out when he does. But
oh, I'm sorry, Sean. I have to interrupt you.
Yes, is Dylan here?
Yes, Dylan has arrived.
Dylan, my man, bring your worst because I'm sure I can do better.
Yeah. Okay. So,
can I finish this thought as you figure out questions, though?
Well, I'm sorry.
Can I finish this thought as you pull?
Oh yeah. You're good. I'm sorry. I just wanted to
fantastic
throw that in there. Let you know to get your fighting words ready just in case.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, so in that morning, I spent probably 2 or 3 hours figuring out where I saw myself in the game, where I thought everyone else was at that time. And so what I did, the first person to wake up and come out of the tent was Connor. I gave Connor, and we saw this in confessionals from Brett mostly, but Brett and I spent a lot of day one trying to save Connor, like I in trying to make sure that he was okay. And so the first thing I did when Connor woke up, and I said, I just spent 3 hours figuring out my entire game. This is the roadmap to where I want to go and what I want to do. I never dropped the alliance word again to my undoing. But at the same time, like at that time, Kaya walked right out. There was myself and Connor. Like I kind of poo-pooed her off. I had a very stern idea of where I wanted to go in the game. And I think Connor, having just realized where my head was at, realized that he could either use that against me or that like I wasn't a part of his plans or he wasn't a part of mine, and took that information to the bank, went off with Kaya, and made what we see now to be one of the strongest alliances in the game. So yeah, it was very much an undoing of my game. But yeah.
Okay, so some rapid fires.
Yeah.
I'll start with this one. You know what? No, we'll end this first batch with this one. Number one, is Virginia truly for lovers, as your baseball hat says?
Find out more in the After Hours show.
Hey.
Does Kaya have an idol?
I think I cleared that one up pretty well.
Not anymore. She does not have an idol.
Yeah, I don't think she would have played it had I not revealed it, though. Which is
here's my question about that. Is it possible that Lindsay, now knowing that Kaya has that idol, all of that was just to get her to flush that idol out?
Potentially. I have a lot to say about idols this season, but yeah.
That's my.
But yes, Kaya
I didn't get to do the recap this week because I was traveling, but that was my one big question from that episode.
Potentially check in Sunday. We'll see. You solid?
Am I solid?
I don't know that. I don't know.
Not a liquid or a gas. I honestly don't know what that question is referring to.
I thought it was an inside joke between you. That was for Connor asked that.
Hey, Connor, I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you miss the Cheerios?
Do I miss Cheerios? No, yeah. I didn't really eat that whole time. I tried to put some food down, and then we saw what happened when I did.
Yes.
But you look so super skinny.
Thanks.
Does the thought of Wes make you want to lose your cookies?
No. I mean, the thought of Wes voting Wes out makes me mad that I lost the game, but I have nothing but fun things to say about Wes. He'll be my forever rival, and I will shit talk him till the cows come home, but no.
Same.
Why?
It's just too easy. It's too easy.
Yeah.
Why is the photo of you with the pedestal and the ball on the pedestal not your profile?
Because I'm rarely on social media.
This is not an excuse.
I need to. I will do it after.
It should have been used in the theme song.
Yeah, I will say.
Why though? Why? I would spoil
of like the intro. If it had been me puking and me making that face as an intro, would have gone down as the most iconic like 2-scene intro of all time.
Yes, Hunter, change it immediately.
I like my intro shot, but I think that would have been hilarious. Probably none of it was.
Can I get a novelty version with that?
I was actually considering doing a merge intro.
Or like even just like an intro, like everyone with shots like that. I'd like to watch that personally.
A fan, I'm sure, will go back and find embarrassing shots.
Everybody, where are you?
Yeah.
Whenever I want a GIF, I'm like Satu.
Yeah, Satu.
I need this.
Satu is gonna Satu could easily be the forefront in doing that. And then Survivor Dylan. Survivor Dylan simply just wants to know, what was the stain on the back of your pants after you got voted out?
I did notice this, and I assumed it was from just sitting in the dirt, but my first thought was Sean shit himself.
Yeah, I saw that, and trust me, if I had shit myself, I would have just gone in my compression shorts the entire weekend. Like,
excuse me, there was compression shorts that you gypped us of. Excuse me.
Some things don't make the edit.
And then you go up to this double layered.
Sorry.
Just give them what they want.
Orting after
Sean wants the tease.
All we want is Sean compression shorts, period.
I'm sure there's photos of me on Facebook shirtless or something. Have at it.
Just compression shorts.
There's a photo shirtless of him in confessional.
Don't tease us. Nobody else to tease Sean.
Yeah, no, it was definitely dirt. If you saw the old Carbonado camp, it was interesting, and we sat on the ground. I didn't sit in the tents for most of it. It was dirt.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with Kaya. It would have been amazing ass cam.
No, it looks like I shit myself.
That was our ass cam of the episode.
Oh, yeah, was it? That's unfortunate.
You should have just done the compression shorts.
Yeah,
I agree with Kaya. That would have been the best ass cam.
There's junk in the trunk.
Hey. Well, now you get us all worked up.
Those are all of the rapid fire questions I have right now. Survivor Dylan is skeptical.
Survivor Dylan.
Prove it.
Yeah, I'm marrying Survivor Dylan's mother, and then the first thing I'm doing is taking away Survivor Dylan's allowance. So
yes.
This is a good feud. I can't wait for Survivor Washington 27 anti-blood versus water.
Exactly. Yeah, no, things about me. I'm Sean, 25.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I thought you were older.
165 pounds, 6'4". I'm a Capricorn. That's a thing.
Did Elson ever end up swiping right? That was the one question I had sent in to me to ask you.
I don't know.
Because I don't know if you listened to the recent episode of Your All Stars, but
I did. I thought it was fantastic. An absolute plug for Marissa and Max's Your All Stars with Survivor, with all the fix-ins with which they go through some of the most prolific patrons through. So I would definitely.
Yes, but if you remember, Analing Steven, that is his ATF crush. So you've got a little competition, sir.
Exactly. Now
you gotta step it up, and you're over here wearing fucking layers.
Apparently it's another misstep in my game.
Hey Marissa, do I need to step out? Do you two need a room? Do I need to step out? Should I leave?
Yes.
It's your turn.
I charge by the hour, so.
I mean, you and Analing could discuss ways to get your stains out of your khakis.
True. That's a very. I think they.
Okay. This is a good one. We could stop on ATF references and go. Jack wants. Oh, hold on. Oh, what was
Jack?
Stefan wants to know what you're drinking. That's a quick one.
That was bourbon on the rocks.
Survivor Dylan wants to know how many used cars you've sold.
Used cars I've sold 0. I mean, I can chum up with the best of them. That's
but you took your mom to the back of one once.
She enjoyed it.
We're taking on Max too much.
No, I have a gift of gab. I can get people to do what I want, and I get what I want.
Including Survivor Dylan's mother.
Yeah, that one was easy. So let's not.
Yeah. So the bar a little higher.
Jack would like to know your camera person production power rankings.
My favorite. Jack number. Oh no, Scout was really good.
I was gonna say, if you don't put Scout as number 1.
Scout is number 1.
Get the fuck out.
Jack ate nuggets in front of us. I love Jack.
That's a bitch move.
I absolutely love Brett, and I will battle for Brett for till the end of time. But I wish Jack had played instead of Brett, because I thought I would have had Jack as an ally. I really wish Jack had played. I would go Scout number 1 for obvious reasons. Jack number 2 because he was the only other one in our camp. And then everyone else from there. We'll give Nico a shout out. We'll give Ori a shout out. We'll give AJ a shout out. AJ was fantastic as well.
And you didn't even have AJ, did you?
I know.
Everybody liked AJ though. AJ was
cool.
Sean, here's my question.
Go.
what didn't we see? What were some of your favorite moments from things that didn't air, or what did we miss, or what were you surprised didn't make the edit? What are the missing pieces?
I don't know. I think I was portrayed pretty accurately, so it's hard for me to play the would have, could have, should have game. I think for someone that went out when I did, I was given a lot of screen time, so thank you, Hunter, to that. I think one of the things that didn't make the cutting room floor, and honestly, which didn't make the episodes, which made my experience worthwhile, was the conversations we had in Carbonado, hanging out. I know about Sarah's family. I know about Sarah's kid. I know what Sarah does for a living. I know about
Sarah's kid as a kid?
Yeah, Mikey. And I can tell you about Erica's son's race car racing, and I can tell you about Brett's volleyball and Brett's weight loss. I could tell you things about everyone because that tribe was very much on a personal level, talking about family, talking about stuff that wasn't surface stuff that you would normally assume would be like much further on in a thing. So I think one of the things was the very candid conversations, and it was, if anything, it was a very interesting microcosm of a group of people from all across the country and mostly Washington, bringing their life experiences together, which I thought was really fun.
So was there anything you were surprised didn't make the cut?
Surprised didn't make the cut. I think, yes. I was surprised that the West boot went to Connor. Obviously, I'm not Connor. I'm not behind Connor's brain. But I will go to bat till the end of time saying that boot was 100% me, and that if at that time, if we were going to split votes between Kaya and Stefan and I wanted it, that's what was going to happen. So yeah, I'm interested to see that not more credit was given to me there, but I'm not surprised because I spent most of that challenge where I orchestrated Wes's boot also bitching about the uselessness of the get the ball in between one from point A to point B part of that challenge. So I really can't be in fault there.
What was it like competing against a Division I athlete?
I mean, you saw me run faster than her.
Fucking speed demon.
I know.
Yeah.
I loved the competitions. I think for me, what I thought I would be good at was the strategy, and I thought I was going to be half-assed in the physicality department. I think it goes to part of like my like coming to Jesus as a person, understand who I am, and being this very like insecure person who always compares myself to like bigger and better and not really realizing like who I am. And so I think like the challenges were fun for me in realizing that like, yes, I can compete. Yes, I can do well. Shy of the first puzzle, I didn't lose a heat. I juked Stefan in a matter of seconds. I beat Corey in like 6 seconds in the flipping thing. And had Kitty not had the balance of, the Libra scales, like I would have won that first heat.
Yeah, in that challenge, when you started having a discussion with her, that was you like trying to get to know her, endear her to you?
A little bit of that, but also a little bit of the fact that like I used to be a gymnast, and I figured like she has a rock climber build, and like I figured Kitty was going to be there for a long damn time, and I had planned to be there as well. And hell, if I didn't want to sit up on that challenge and get heat stroke without at least having a nice conversation out of it.
See, I viewed it 100% as you were trying to distract her. So I found it interesting that there was other motives, but
yeah, I wish I was that smart.
Classic Sean.
Yeah, Kitty and I also at the Merge Feast found out that Kitty went to school in Virginia, and so I got to have a conversation about her at that. So you see us talking about our graduation years in Virginia and things like that in the woods of Washington. But the one thing that surprised me from that challenge is that more people didn't orient themselves on the balance beam like I did.
Yeah, I thought
that was the key to that challenge.
I love
it. The ball wasn't that bad.
Perpendicularly to the beam. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there. One, I feel like I could balance better if I was parallel with the beam. But two, I angled so the sun was at my back, so that way I wasn't staring into the sun. So I thought that was an advantage to.
But also, I feel like with bigger feet, if you go kind of perpendicular to the bar, you've got a lot of wobble room versus you go sideways and you've kind of stabilized.
Yeah. And did it obviously did it pan out in the end? No, but
pretty close. You outdid a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, when you started to lose it,
I lost all.
It was like I was getting meat sweats, and there was no meat.
Yeah, and there was a time. I mean, you saw that recovery on the challenge. There was a solid 5 or 6 second period where the ball is just shaking, and I'm trying to recover, and somehow it comes to a stop. So yeah. golf balls. I'm a
Golf
terrible
balls,
golfer,
man.
so, shocker, but it's my downfall.
Hey, Hunter, what are those things that they put the golf balls on?
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know the word.
You still have no idea.
No.
Yeah.
You had it like thought about that prior?
Handle
Hunter
circles.
describing challenges was a fun thing this season.
Yeah.
Hunter would walk into a challenge. Mind you, some people know. I saw 6 pavers and I was like, I know exactly what challenge this is. I know exactly how it's running. You look over at someone like Erica.
Good, because I had no idea what was happening.
What are we doing over here? And Hunter explains it. He's like, yeah. So you just flip it and you want to have all yours up before the other people have theirs up, and then you might want to flip theirs over. Okay, do you guys got it? Is it all clear? And like,
no, it's not, Hunter. I'm here to explain a fucking challenge. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Exactly. Which is why you see in a lot of challenges, like very quickly, Wes and I, like at the tribal stage, Wes and I boom right together because we're like, okay, this is how we have to explain the challenge. This is how we have to orient ourselves so that way we know how we're going to do well, which is why the order of the guys was staggered in the sumo challenges, because we knew, like, I love him to death, but I don't think Connor could have even beaten Nico in that challenge because Nico has like length.
Maybe he's fast and crafty.
Exactly. But we were willing to give that up in order for Wes to have a more favorable round, for Brett, for myself.
Wes is like a low-lying tank. He's like a little Panzer army, just poof.
Exactly.
Just that weight, just kind of got smooshed.
Yeah, and had we, in the true drawing of random numbers, had our top guy and top girl not gone twice, like that challenge would have been a lot different. Like Connor lost and it became what, a 4-4 draw, and then it came down to Sarah, who Kitty front flipped her way out of the ring, and Sarah kind of like won because she was there.
It was acrobatic.
Exactly. Like, fantastic, if anything. And Sarah, again, like, wins the next challenge. And so I think Sarah gets some very dramatic, like, challenge experiences. But, you know, had it been Emma, or had it been Erica, or had it been, Connor, had it been Connor and someone else playing Emma, it could have been a whole different story. So, yeah.
Yeah. So do you have anything else specifically that you want to discuss or want to bring up, talk about?
I'm interested to see. So I think it's no secret, and we kind of talked about it at the jump, and I know Marissa and I have talked about it as well, is what were your perceptions of how I was playing the game, and where did you see my strengths and weaknesses? Because I think for me, obviously, like, I'm going up to an open call in Wilkes-Barre on Monday, like, to hopefully be on the show. Like, I think I know how I want to portray myself, but I think, and you see it in I Meet the Cast interview in my bio. It's like I went out there because I wanted to see how I would play and what it would be like and what things I hid and what things I accentuated. And so I'm interested to see from a non-Sean perspective, like, and even from you, Hunter, who saw a lot more of the game, like, where did I go wrong? What did I do well that people didn't see? What
I liked from a production perspective in terms of having you on the cast is that the term of in terms of game botting, the reason that has such a negative connotation is because people can't talk strategy with it being entertaining or well received, which is why I have a problem with so many of the Survivor fans that come in and like, I want to make big moves with blindside, is because they're not entertaining when they talk strategy. I'm captivated when you talk about strategy. Like, I'm into it. I'm understanding. You explain things in terms that it's not like, I can't connect the pieces here. Everything flows really, really well. And so that's why.
Yeah, is there any way we can get Sean to do a voiceover explaining all the challenges from the rest of the season?
I will do it.
Yes. No, you're very, very from in terms of casting, you're very well spoken. Yeah, confessionals are easy. You had by far one of the shortest confessional times because you were able to say everything you wanted to say in a matter of just a few minutes. And so I think that in terms of how I put you out as a character on the show, personally, that's what I saw were your strengths in terms of being on TV, is that your analytical self, your description, I'm not talking just purely strategy, but your analytics on other people and just using your mind and being, like you said in your pregame, that you were very analytical and taking that seat and being that analytical narrator is a huge strong suit. I'd say from a game perspective, what you could do, I mean, we talked, of course, about the events of the game and how things are, of course, way different when you'd be out there with a bunch of people that you absolutely don't know at all. So I'd say that you positioned yourself fairly well because there wasn't anybody that straight up didn't like you or didn't want you around and didn't want to work with you. It was just the unfortunate luck of the draw that a women's alliance started and you were the strongest male left. Its name was not Satu.
Exactly. So
who,
that's because I think it's always fun to hear someone else's perspective. Like, I think we all watch our episodes and we're like, oh, look how fun it is. Look, I'm on screen. Like, I'm talking. And you view yourself as yourself, but to view yourself as from an out of body, as a character and how you're being perceived could be very different. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
well,
even
best of luck on the call.
Yeah, it's one of those you see things one way, you see them another. Like, I cannot tell you how many people reached out to me after Wes's exit interview, as well as people reaching out to Wes about like why I'm such a fucking monster. I'm like, oh no, like that's just how Wes and I are. Like Wes and I are both unemployed right now, and Wes and I talk all day every day, and that's just how we talk to each other.
Exactly.
Like, I thought I'd taken it easy on him. Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta wrap things up because I gotta get going.
Oh, you got hot plans? I'm sorry, Hunter. You got a date or
Sean,
something?
okay, I want to just Sean, is there anything else specifically that you want to cover, that you want to say?
I would say that, I went into this experience without many preconceived notions. I really didn't expect to know what was going to happen. I didn't want to go first, and after all of that was like gravy for me. I really enjoyed being out there, probably more than I should have. And I'm mad I went out when I did. I think, like I said in my exit, like my post vote, like I think in order to get where I did, I had to play the way I did. So I can't regret that, but damned if I wish like you're not planning an all-star season and I can put myself in contention. Because I'd love to do it again because I'm apparently a masochist. So I had a blast. Thank you to everyone who played with me. It was fantastic being a part of that with you.
Did you learn anything new about yourself?
Yeah, apparently I can't.
Did you get in touch with inner Sean?
No. Like, I think for me, and it goes to what I alluded a little bit about earlier, is I think the person that is portrayed is a lot different than the person I view myself in my head. I view myself as the introverted, nerd, unathletic person who is very like unsure of himself. But I think the person that I portray is very different than that.
Yeah, you're like I've been through like 4 years of therapy to get over that kid.
Yeah, I've never been into therapy's up here for me. But yeah, no, I think it's very interesting. And I think slowly, like within life, and whether it's, working for a tech startup for me, which is a very like different experience. Like I was classically trained marine biologist, like things like that are just very different for me. And so I think like this experience, along with a lot of other things in life,
killing chickens.
Yeah.
Also true.
Cutting chickens' throats.
Yeah, where was that rewards challenge? Let Sean prove himself. I was waiting for it.
Should have given us live chickens. I would have had a good time with that.
Way too much fun.
The Brandon Hans swinging the chicken by the neck.
I'm much more efficient with my knives. It's Robert Dylan.
Whoa. This is getting a little murdery. I've seen this true crime show.
He told me to bring it. I haven't heard him come back with a response, so I figure
he hasn't. He's out of here. He's gone.
Not my problem. But yeah, I think in summation, I think it's really interesting within life. As someone of my age, you get out of college and you enter your like mid-20s and you realize more and more like who you actually are and not who you're like told.
Wait, when does that start happening? Because I'm still at the what the fuck am I doing? Who am I?
Yeah, but I think it's this level of like you're not being told what to do anymore, and you're finding yourself as you go through life. And I think
it's rough. Stay young forever, kids.
It was fantastic for me to realize a little bit about who I am. And it was fast.
So you did learn about yourself.
Yeah, I think I learned where, like we talked about, I think I know where my strengths lie. And I think if anything, it provides me for a strong anecdote to not like for that voice in my head to just say like, no, you're wrong. You're not this like antisocial, like introverted person.
You're tall,
like,
Sean.
Apparently I am. Yeah.
Tall Sean.
So
tall,
yeah.
Stand tall.
Stand tall.
Every day. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that is a beautiful way to wrap things up. I think we should note that for the rest of the contestants to talk about what they have learned about themselves, so that. That
was a two question.
I do have one. That was a two. I have one announcement to make really quick. very soon we will be opening up donations to my project that are completely legal and not violating any rules, in exchange for us giving you back a gift, which is
in-game what's?
Buffs, full-size buffs.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because mine, in case you couldn't tell, like mine looked like shit, and I still have it.
This is legit. No shit. This is look at this. This is they're not cut yet because I can't find a place to sew these. So
I told you I sew.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm not going to. I need to get
sew.
these done. I need to get these done like soon.
Yeah,
like
I will gladly support you.
Yeah, ship them to me. I'll have them done in like 2 days. I'll ship them back.
Shipping. Okay, so then that costs me to ship it to you. Then it costs
How
me to ship
many
it
are
back.
there? Yeah, I will pay for the shipping back. No, put it in it's fabric. It all is compact. You do the flat rate shipping. It's like $6.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. So anyways, so the matter, so if you want to donate to Survivor Washington, they're going to be $12 a buff. And you can come, you can get Wilkinson, you can get Carbonado, and you can get the merge design, which didn't end up getting printed for the merge buffs because the original way we had to print things was hell. It was horrible.
Sorry, Quest was a much better merge tribe name.
That's
I'm
not
putting
my
that out
fault.
now. Quest would have been way better.
Okay, so anyways, by the time the episode opens up, there'll be a form for buffs that you fill out. So I can get a number to see. You won't be charged, of course. You just put down your information so I can give you a call. You put down your PayPal so I can contact you.
Let's help Hunter with this logistics because we'll help you out, Hunter.
Maybe just send them to me. I'll sew them and then I'll send them.
Okay, that's what we'll be discussing after this ends. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to another out of Orting. With the 7th, the merge boot, Sean himself. We will be back tomorrow night at the same time to discuss the game with Stefan.
Oh.
So thank you, Sean. Thank you, Marissa.
Love it. Kaya has an idol.